that away, you're crazy and hell, stop.
Okay.
That's not how you
said,
talk to
something about psychotic or psychosis. Has he ever seen a psychiatrist or been treated for?
I don't think he has. But I'll try to get him some Valiums or sedatives.
Whose volumes are those?
Mine.
Brother, you do not give your medication to someone else. Oh my, this is such parenting. Let's watch murder. Okay, this one's called The Fitness YouTuber Turns into a Killer Zombie.
Austin Haroff, also known as Osty Frosty. Austin was just an ordinary college student, or at least so it seemed. His family described him as friendly, focused, and full of potential. But then, without warning, something changed. One evening, what started as a typical family outing would soon take a bizarre turn, with Austin leaving abruptly, disappearing into the night in an unsettling storm which seemed to brew within him. As
Wait,
the
I think
hours
I've heard
passed
of this
by,
one.
His friends and family all began to worry, and that is when reports of a very concerning crime scene came trickling in. After that, nothing would ever be the same again.
Such an asshole!
You'll soon realize that this is one of those stories where people are still searching for answers to this day. For example, what led Austin down this path? Was it something external, or was it in him all along? And the haunting part is, I don't think we will ever know for sure. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian.
I got
and today,
coffee.
we're looking at a YouTuber who kind of turned into a zombie. Okay, maybe not literally, but just watch the video and you'll see what I mean. Before we begin, if you like true crime,
Like the guy in Florida, where he was like, he had a lot of drugs. Or was it meth or something? And he ate a dude's face off, and they called it like like he had zombie tendencies because he was just eating eating that person. Even guns didn't stop him. Stun guns didn't stop him. He just kept going.
Stories, then please consider subscribing. Thank you. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee and let's caffeinate while we investigate.
Bath salts. Yeah. Bath salts. Taste of Austin Haroff.
It was August the 16th, Jupiter, Florida. Sandwiched between its
Why is it always Florida? Damn it!
sprawling beaches and the state's arterial Route 95 lies a small suburb named Tequesta. If you travel just west of that suburb, you will find a small street named Kokomo Lane. And sadly, that is where the main bulk of our story will take place today. Jupiter is kind of a hidden gem. And of course, I'm talking about the town and not the planet. Picture this, laid-back beach town vibes with a splash of luxury. And the water, crystal clear. It's a place where people are out paddleboarding with dolphins like it's no big deal whatsoever. And don't even get me started on the food. Like many beach towns, Jupiter is best served on a hot summer's day. And on one of those evenings, 59-year-old John Stevens and his wife, 53-year-old Michelle Miskin, were just going on with doing their usual routine and hanging out in their garage. Now, John himself was a family man. He loved to fish, loved to cook, and had also been in the US Air Force in his younger years. Michelle was a loving, warm, and welcoming person to everybody that she met. It's also notable that she was the daughter of the former North Miami Beach mayor, Jeff. So, no surprise, the two were well liked and well known by their community for being the perfectly gentle couple.
Things like this happen everywhere, but Florida has a law where all their cases are open to the public. So it always seems like it's a Florida thing. No, I think Floridians are just crazy. The reason Hexella, Florida is because competition. Shut up. You are from Florida? I lived in Florida. I'm not from Florida. I hate Florida. Florida sucks.
If you had swung by the house at the time they lived there, you would see it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, which was aptly situated on Kokomo Lane. The two adored their place and put a lot of effort into looking after it, with family and friends often dropping by for a coffee or a chat. It's a rather cute habit to have, but the two of them would often sit in the garage with the door open in the evenings, catching the summer breeze in each other's company. A perfect way to cool off in Florida's summer heat. But sadly, let's just say it wouldn't stay that way for very long. It was just after 9 PM when the neighbor out on an evening walk went by the house of Michelle and John, and what they found could only be described as something straight out of a horror movie. There in the dim light was a man hunched over another, and what he seemed to be doing was definitely not normal. Around 6 foot in height, the man was not merely attacking the other, but quite literally eating his face. Apparently, this looked like something straight out of The Walking Dead. Completely horrified by the situation, but determined to help Steve, the neighbor rushed to intervene, only to be met with a frenzied violence. Whoever this zombie-like figure was, they turned on the neighbor too, stabbing him multiple times in the process. Now, thankfully, he was able to get away, but only after several major injuries. And of course, naturally, they then called 911.
911, do you need fire, police, or medical?
All three?
Police and medical. Don't open that. Don't open that.
Fire rescue, what's your address?
Young man beating up a woman across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage. I think he had a knife, but I'm not positive.
Are either of them injured? Can you tell from where you are?
Yes, there's a girl laying on the ground. He beat her up. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right, can you tell if she's conscious or is she unconscious?
No, it does not appear so, no.
Okay, and what kind of injuries do you have?
I've been stabbed in the back.
And where is he? Is he
I think
in
he's
the area
in the garage, right across the street from my house.
All right, we're going to get the paramedics right out there.
Sir, what did the guy look like? Was he white, black, Hispanic?
He is white.
Do you know who he is?
I have no idea. It appears he's still there.
And you said you definitely saw a knife and that's what he hit you with in the back?
No, I did not see it, but my wife's looking at my back and it appears I got punctured.
Yes, Dad. In the neck, in the head, three puncture wounds.
Okay,
Damn.
we got units en route, okay?
Okay.
All right, just call us back if anything changes, all right?
All right, I'm bleeding pretty bad. So
Okay, we got an ambulance and everybody en route. Just stay right there and stay calm, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Wait, did this happen after? Like they said they left the restaurant, but now they're at. So did they drive home because he left the restaurant and then they were confused and they followed him? I thought that's what it said. Did they go home and that's when he went ballistic? I'm so confused.
About 10 minutes later, the first deputy arrived to see exactly the same thing. A man hunched over another, quite literally eating his face. Wasting no time whatsoever in this situation, she then closed her distance, pulled out her taser, and ordered him to stop. But this man, he didn't even flinch. It was in that moment that the officer then successfully deployed her taser, with electricity surging through the suspect's body. But even still, it made no difference.
It's
In fact,
it's literally
it was-
like the guy that's like the one that took like bullets, tase guns, and everything, and he was still eating that dude's face.
He seemed to
Holy.
react. And even after grabbing a hold of him, well, he seemed impossibly strong. This was definitely a job for more than one officer. Only a few minutes later, additional backup arrived. Another deputy, along with a canine, rushed in to help. But even with 2 officers and a literal furry chomping machine, they all struggled to stop him, and nothing they did seemed to slow him down. Eventually, they did manage to subdue him and get him into custody. However, by then, it was far too late to save John Stevens. And heartbreakingly, he would not be the only one to lose his life that night. Detectives arrived and began their investigation after executing a search warrant. Not that they particularly needed it to see what else they would find inside their garage. With the door wide open, they found Michelle, and unfortunately, she too had been stabbed to death, and it was apparent that both victims had been attacked inside the garage. As the investigators worked through the night, it was very obvious that there was an enormous amount of violence. Both victims sustained massive trauma from multiple portions of their body, including lacerations, stab wounds, and blunt force trauma. It was also noted that there was no evidence to suggest that their killer knew either of them. In fact, it seemed that they had both been selected entirely at random. It appeared that this was a completely unprovoked and random attack.
Wait, so the killer
simply
wasn't
on
their
2 people
son?
who were merely sitting in their open garage. And so, with so much
Wait. Okay, I think I understood the story in the first part of the story wrong. The guy that was at the restaurant went to a random person's house, which is those 2. How the hell did he get that far away from the restaurant?
And so, with so much barbaric behavior, who precisely was their killer? Now, thankfully, the zombie responsible for all of this was taken into custody right there at the crime scene. However, as the authorities uncovered his identity, the story would somehow become even more tragic. This wasn't some sort of career criminal or troubled lowlife. In fact, he was a bright and well-educated student with a promising future ahead of him, and in one unthinkable night, he had then thrown all of it away. So, who was this crazed zombie-like man? Why did he seem so strong, and what caused him to, well, snap into an enraged cannibal? Detectives assigned to the case would soon name the suspect as 19-year-old Austin Harroff. Austin was a student attending Florida State University who had spent his entire life living in Florida. So, I guess you could say he was a genuine Florida man. Go figure. Born on December the 21st, 1996, Austin had a younger sister and lived with both of his parents. And although they would eventually divorce in the year 2013, both his mother and father would argue a lot throughout his formative years, unfortunately creating an at times unstable home for their children. It is worth saying that, as a child, Austin claimed to hear voices that simply were not there, though this information...
No, not serial killers. No. I think he may, because if he was like a good kid and stuff, I don't know the full story, but the way it seems like is that he ingested something or snorted something and it just made him go crazy. But apparently he has a history of mental illness.
This information is quite debatable, as it's a detail that he would only share after the crime. Nevertheless, he graduated from Suncoast High School 2 years later in the year 2015, before then moving on to Palm Beach College and then university to study biology. As Austin grew older, he found himself becoming ever more popular. It is noted that he was quite shy and reserved in his younger years, but would then find his feet as he moved towards adulthood and training to become an athlete. There is a dark irony to his history too, because it turns out that he also trained to become a dental assistant in the year 2016. And considering his recent actions, I wouldn't say that's the best choice in career. Unfortunately, he would also find himself overindulging in the wrong kinds of substances. Weed, alcohol, and other types of drugs would often plague him.
Okay, so I take it back. He was not a good student. Well, he was a good student, but like as in probably academically, but you're doing drugs. And this is what happens when you do drugs. You lose your freaking mind.
He seemed to have an issue with stopping at an appropriate level. Thankfully, Austin would make my life a little bit easier by creating his own self-identity investigation in the year 2016, where he went on to say, "The way I see myself may or may not be different from the way that others see me. I view myself as happy, shy, nice, positive, and I never give up. I view myself as happy because usually I have very few things to feel sad or depressed about. One of the main things I dislike about myself is that I am shy. I want to be more confident and assertive. I am not that shy around my close friends because after I get to know someone, I'll start to open up more towards them. I also see myself as nice because I will go out of my way to help people. I am usually not very mean unless someone or something has made me angry. I also don't ever give up even when I'm in a difficult situation. Like, if I'm not doing well in school, I will." Videos of Austin date as far back as the year 2014, when he was filmed at a wrestling tournament held in Palm Beach. Back then, he did still seem to have some puppy fat. Or should I say werewolf? If you don't get the joke, then don't worry, you will soon. Anyway, it turns out that Austin was actually somewhat of a YouTuber and a musical artist too. It was under the name of A Frost that Austin created a channel to document his fitness journey.
Being on those drugs, the bath salts or whatever they are, the other Florida guy was on that makes you insanely strong. He's already strong as hell. So that's just like, no wonder they couldn't stop him. Holy crap.
Talk about bodybuilding, and also share his, interesting music. Found in his bio, he ominously wrote, "This that around music y'all been hearing about. I've got a psycho side and a normal side. I've lost my mind, help me find it." This channel is still up to this very day, by the way. In his first video named Fitness Challenges, he discussed fitness and the many obstacles he overcame. You can tell that Austin intended to adopt a goofy personality to be different to the hordes of other fitness coaches already on the platform.
How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be talking about fitness as a whole and the challenges it brings, okay? So, what I want to start off by saying is, fitness as a whole. It's pretty tough, man. It's not easy, but nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that, guys. You remember that? You remember that?
I remember.
You gotta promise me that you'll remember that. We got Lorax over here talking but that's okay. What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about the ketogenic diet. About a couple years ago, I went from 250 pounds to 190.
Hello, bros. It's Austy Frosty, man, and today I want to talk about personal trainers and why you should be cautious when following a personal trainer.
He also created music under the name of Austy Frosty, uploading all of his music to the same YouTube channel and debuting with a track named Abide Freestyle. Now, theoretically, I could keep all of this music to myself, but come on, this wouldn't be Coffeehouse crime without sharing.
No.
Hard is all I do. I ain't got time for sleep, ain't got time for play. I pull up in my 80kg, I call her the new bae. Wait, hold up, let me tie my 80k shoe. Oh shoot, I forgot to mention, the lace is 80 grand, the shoes too. Deep in the Jeep, Jeep balls deep, in Little Bo Peep. Oh, you want some to eat. Rode a dike, then kissed a bike. I mean, I rode a bike, then kissed a dike. Punch me in Yale.
Take a hike, asshole.
Big bitch, yes, I just ain't like. I traded my hoe, I traded my hoe, I traded my hoe. I really did. Oh, this bow.
Okay, seriously, I think that's enough, but hopefully you get the picture here. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but what is it with YouTubers thinking they can make good music?
torture.
Anyway, Austin would eventually give up with making music.
A music career was not it. Hey, you know, he's getting into it, you know? He probably could have been the next Eminem. We would have never known.
And instead turned to bodybuilding, weight loss, and sustainable growth. It is worth saying that the media really tore him down here, and would claim that he seemed to act strange and that there were red flags all along. But you know what? I don't buy it. I mean, yeah, sure, he was acting goofy, but that's quite literally it. Who didn't when they were younger? But what I will say is that it definitely did seem to be escalating in the final month or two, and you'll see exactly what I mean. In addition to this, he would also post home videos and vlogs, often going out on boat trips with his father and cruising around. From the outside, Austin seemed like a pretty regular guy. He grew up in a comfortable Florida suburb, played football in high school, and spent time with his friends, and people who knew him described him as friendly, polite, and easygoing. In addition to this, he was a good student, made decent grades at school, and stayed out of trouble. He was also the kind of person you'd see at the gym, or just simply hanging out at the beach. Just a normal kid, living a normal, laid-back life. There wasn't some long history of violence or crime, and he wasn't out there causing chaos. So before his mental health seems to take a turn...
like did he have parental problems? Did he said that he had a good childhood, a good family home? What the heck? But he did do drugs. So maybe it was just the drugs?
Austin seemed like just another young guy trying to figure life out. It was around 1 week before the homicides that Austin started acting a little bit differently. Out of nowhere, he had this urge to be extremely generous to other people. Oh. And I'm talking about give away all your possessions kind of level.
Oh, that's a bad sign. That's a huge red flag. Oh.
At the same time, things were starting to feel weird inside too. He was feeling paranoid, barely sleeping, and even when he did, he would wake up frozen and convinced that some kind of demon was hovering over him. I mean, even his friends noticed these changes. They said he was acting unusual, and quite honestly, it was weirding them out too. We can actually get a glimpse of this in some of his last videos uploaded to YouTube. Just 8 days before the murders, he seemed to be very hyper and manic.
And like, it just was the best. Like, I just want to say that. And like, anybody who disagrees is such an asshole.
On August the 12th, which was only 3 days before the homicides, Austin then made his way to work, where his mental state only seemed to diminish even further. He started talking to his patients about God and would even tell them that he felt like Jesus. Which, sure, might be okay if you're having a casual discussion with someone, but is probably the last thing you'd like to hear from your operator while he's got these big metal tools in your mouth. It is worth noting here that Austin was not upset or angry or anything negative, and in fact, he would even go on to say to his patients that he felt full of love, peace, and joy. But understandably, they did find it quite strange when he then pulled the instruments out and poured water over them, and then started praying as if it was some kind of holy ritual. And the wild part? The radio was playing in the background, and Austin swore that there were signs of God in each and every song, like the whole thing was part of some bigger message towards him. But in his ever-changing state of mind, after he returned home that night, his mood would shift once again. It is in that moment that
needed
Austin
a psych
claimed
hold?
that he saw the devil right there in front of him.
Wait, if he was doing this to patients, why didn't the patients report him? Then maybe he would have been looked at, maybe he would have been taken in, or that could have like sent him over faster. I don't know, man.
That is when he flushed all of his drugs down the toilet.
Okay, so all of this, of what he's saying, like how he would hear things and see things and everything, was at the trial. So there is no history of him, like from his family members or his friends, of him saying that. So this was only after the trial. So it's like speculation that maybe he's just saying this to get like the insanity plea or something.
Just got rid of everything. After being
Is this true? No, it's true crime. True crime.
terrified of seeing the devil in his very own home, he decided to crash at a friend's place instead that night. But even there, the paranoia wouldn't let up. He couldn't sleep, his mind was racing, and he was descending into a very dark place. It was on that day that he would release his final video to YouTube, titled What I'm About in Bodybuilding. In this video, he talks about believing in himself, not following famous bodybuilders, and claims that he doesn't need drugs.
What's up, guys? I just want to let you know that I came to a realization of something. I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder. I want to follow myself, you know? I want to actually believe in myself.
That's good.
I want to learn from other things,
Yeah.
other people, other bodybuilders and stuff. But I just know that they're not me, you know? I know what's right for me. I don't need drugs. I know that they can change me. But the thing is, that's not being healthy, you know? Being healthy is what's natural, you know? What comes natural to you? Do you think steroids are natural? Who knows, you know? Who knows? You think steroids would be beneficial? Who knows? But for me, I know that I don't know, but I think that steroids really aren't for me. Honestly.
That's good.
I used to think that I needed steroids to be a bodybuilder, to be this thing, to be this symbol, to be this lie, you know? All I need is just to learn from everything. I'm learning from all the protein companies. I'm learning from all the bodybuilders, you know?
But he does seem really sad.
I'm learning what did they do wrong. I'm learning where did they go wrong, you know? What do I think they did wrong? We're all the same, though. Peace out. Peace.
On
Yeah,
August
his
the 13th,
eyes look
which was
sad.
2 days before his fateful encounter, it was obvious that Austin felt totally drained, like his body was heavy, but his mind was still wired. To make things even more odd, he would then tell his friends and family that he felt this weird special connection with animals. He claimed that he understood them, and that, furthermore, they would give him their special powers. It was later that morning that Austin headed out to a restaurant, and while he was sat there drinking a glass of tap water, he became convinced that God was speaking to him. Apparently, this glass of water was actually the fountain of youth. Later that day, one of his friends who owned a Dodge pickup truck decided to give him a lift. And of course, with the Dodge having that Ram logo on the side, well, Austin believed it was actually the devil staring him down. And later that night, well, he didn't feel safe to sleep alone, and so he asked his sister if he could sleep on the floor in her bedroom, holding his dog as if he was trying to be protected. The very next morning, on August the 14th, he then walked his dog, which somehow turned into a run. And apparently, during that run, he got this very bizarre feeling, like he wasn't human anymore. Kind of like he was now only half person, and the other half, it was apparently dog spirits, and that they were inside him, giving him extra strength and speed. It once again appeared that the whole animal connection was back. He felt like they really understood him, and that furthermore, he was half dog, half man. Kind of like a werewolf. Later that very same
There are some people, I was reading about this in uni. Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of you've heard this, where they think they're not human. Kind of like vampires. People who think they're actual vampires and that they need to drink the blood or energy or stuff from other humans. Or people actually think they're or werewolves and stuff. What if he's one of them?
same day, Austin would then travel with his dad to a gun show, but instead of being excited or interested about it, he claimed to have just felt paranoid the entire time, like something was off, but he couldn't quite
Trent, I'm not human. No way for someone to be that bald at my age.
put his finger on it. To try and ease the situation, Austin and his father then looked at knives and machetes, where Austin would go on to buy one each. And then, all of a sudden, there was another rattling thought around his head. What would happen if I ate a snake? Trapped in his nonsensical mind, he suddenly believed that if he were to eat one, then somehow it would give him power over the devil. In hindsight, it's like the whole week was this long, steady build-up, that these weird thoughts are piling on top of each other, and nobody realizing just how far his mind had crashed. And then came the actual day of the murders. On that morning, Austin believed that dog spirits were guiding him. They apparently told him to wear a Michael Vick jersey, and so he did. And just like that, he felt invincible to the devil, like nothing could touch him. Throughout that day, he bounced around, first to a beach, then to a party at a fraternity brother's house, and then to a restaurant. It is at that restaurant where he would have dinner with his relatives, which included his father. And what began as a nice meal together would, unfortunately, soon turn into an argument, which ended in him walking out. After that, he then travelled to his mother's home, where he then drank cooking oil. Yeah, you heard that correctly, by the way. Cooking oil. His mother, who obviously questioned what the hell he was doing, was quite surprised to see him at the property. And so, after taking the bottle of vegetable oil out of his hands, she then drove him back to the restaurant. But Austin quite clearly did not want to be there, and so after arriving at the restaurant for a second time, he would then leave shortly after once again.
Does vegetable oil make you want to eat faces of other people? What was in that vegetable oil?
At some point later that evening, the world around him suddenly started to feel unreal. Time slowed down, and then, before he knew it, he felt like the Grim Reaper. Voices began to whisper in his head, saying, "I am sin, I am in control." Frightened by the situation, Austin then began to run, apparently following the stars back home, but instead they would lead him to the house of his victims. And that is when he saw it, some kind of figure that sent a jolt of fear straight through his spine. In response, he ran towards the light to try to find safety. However, that light, it was actually coming from the victim's garage. Back in the world of reality, Austin had just run into Michelle's and Steven's garage. What she saw was probably a disgruntled man, but what he saw, apparently, was a figure of darkness. That is when he stabbed her, and when he turned around, that is when he would see John too. And after that, nothing. Blackness.
The 19-year-old FSU student with a seemingly bright future. Michaela Fallon is the same age as Austin Haroof, and she says she lives in the same quiet Jupiter neighborhood as his same age as 19-year-old FSU student with a seemingly bright future. Michaela Fallon is the same age as Austin Haroof, and she says she lives in the same quiet Jupiter neighborhood as his mom.
I looked him up on Facebook, and we have like 67 mutual friends.
But Fallon says the mutual friends and the proximity makes this even more frightening.
It's very troubling that we walk our dog past the house, and I mean, the people that were killed were innocent.
Deputies say Monday night Haroof was having a family dinner at Duffy's on Indiantown Road when he walked to a seemingly random house and attacked. Investigators say he killed 2 people and injured another. A crime Fallon says is especially disturbing when compared to this. Haroof on social media showing school pride in his fraternity t-shirt, photos of an athletic, accomplished teen that seem so different from the suspect capable of this gruesome crime.
Shortly after this, mental health experts determined that Austin was in a severely disturbed mental state, dealing with emerging mood and thought disorders which led to a psychotic break. During this time, he couldn't tell right from wrong, which, under Florida's definition, would make him legally insane. In addition to this, there was also a troubling trail of his online searches in the days and weeks leading up to the murders. Some of the things he searched for included how to relax my mind, auditory hallucinations when falling asleep, what exactly is hell, how to sell my soul to the devil, I think I'm going crazy, how to know if you're going crazy, can we really control more than we think, hearing things in my sleep, and obsessive thoughts. As you can see through his search history,
unless he was really smart and he was watched crime or something, so he made these searches, you know, like how some people do. They try to outsmart the cops and they make up searches and stuff that they looked for and whatnot. The cops can try to be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're not all there in the head. But unless he's like actually hearing things, then I don't.
Paints a picture of a man who was spiraling into confusion and fear, and was
I know someone who does that. She watches a whole lot of true crime. Oh yeah, who? Hex. What? Whatever.
Seeking answers. But the interesting thing here is that rather than seek help from his family, friends, or a licensed professional, Austin kept all of these thoughts to himself. And I think that was probably the first mistake. What I also find very interesting is that during his slow decline into insanity, nobody stopped to say, hey, you okay?
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Here,
nobody asked if he was okay.
Opportunities for a loved one to figure out that something wasn't right. I mean, Austin really did not seem to be trying to hide his feelings, emotions, or thoughts. There were so many missed opportunities here. Despite being arrested immediately after the attacks, Austin would not immediately go to jail. And that's because he first needed to be hospitalized for almost 2 months due to his severe injuries, including internal damage from drinking toxic household chemicals, and, you know, also being taken out by an entire police unit.
Excuse me, what other household chemicals did he drink? All we know of is his vegetable oil. What other household chemicals did he consume? And why did he eat the person's face? Like, was he on bath salts or drugs or so? I guess he was on some sort of chemical. Unless he did go into a psychotic break and he was trying to eat the devil's face off. But why the f would you eat the devil's face off? Why would you not? What? I'm so confused.
Including a canine. Later that night, his parents would also be interviewed, which is where this footage was released.
You called 911 later on that night, and you said that he was missing.
Well, I guess when he took off the second time, they called me, I don't know when they called me and said, is Austin there? And I said, no, what happened? Well, he took off again.
You mentioned on your 911 call that he's acting schizophrenic. Is there any history in your family of schizophrenia on your side of the family? Any sign of mental illness on your side of the family?
I mean, we always teased that my brother was,
but did he ever get treated?
No.
No medicine? What about your son? Did you ever treat him for any?
No.
No? Okay. Also in your 911 call, they asked you if he's on drugs, and you had mentioned that yes, he has been on drugs, but you don't know if he's been on drugs lately. Do you know what kind of drugs he was on?
I mean, I know he did marijuana.
Okay.
And
did he do an excessive amount, or was it just social, if you could even call it social? Or?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, he hung out in his room.
How do you not know what your son does?
Dad said that.
Is that normal for parents to not know what you are doing? My parents were all in my business. They knew every single thing I was doing. What? Nowadays, yes. Okay, but this is like when? What? Like, judging from the camera, or the thing happened in 2016. Mine were constantly in your... Yeah, I would... How do you not know what? I wasn't allowed to shut my door. Like, anytime... They said they had to be able to walk past my door and they'd see exactly what I was doing. Or I would get grounded. I'm so sorry. That's mind-boggling.
2 months ago, he also found him doing mushrooms. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know if anybody found him doing mushrooms.
Your son, how was he as a kid? I mean, he still is a kid, but was he always happy, joyous,
yes.
good as far as you could tell? Never got into fights in school?
The
Have you ever
crackling
been
is...
suspended from school or anything? No, nothing. Okay.
Nothing. I mean, it's never really any anger issues. Maybe, you know, Bud and I have our spats and stuff,
Yeah, like
but
any
he
normal
wants
kid.
to protect me, you know.
Sure. Has he ever got physical with Dad, or?
Dad?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Something's going to happen. And what I was doing for the last 2 weeks is trying to joke him out of it, the psychosis. And I said, put that away, you're crazy in hell, stop.
Okay.
That's not how you
said,
talk to...
something about psychotic or psychosis, something like that. Is there any history in your family as to mental illness or anything like that?
Yes.
There is. On who?
My sister.
Your sister? And she's being treated?
She was treated.
She was treated?
Oh, so he does
What kind of
have...
illness?
Okay, so there is a family history of... Oh, okay.
She had
Okay.
severe depression.
Okay. Anyone else in your family? Yourself? Okay. Depression?
Yeah.
Okay, and you were treated and everything else? What about grandparents or anything like that? No? Okay. What about him? Has he ever seen a psychiatrist or been treated for...
I don't think he has.
Okay. Was he on any kind of medication?
No.
No? Okay. Jesus Christ.
I get wind that he can't sleep, pacing the floor. And so I try to give him some Valiums or sedatives.
Whose Valiums are those?
Mine.
Yours? Okay.
And
Brother. You do not give your medication to someone else. Oh. Especially Valium. Oh, Valium is so addicting. I had Valium. Yeah, why didn't he take him to get him help? If he knows like his sister has it, he has it, why didn't he take his son? Oh my God. This is such parenting. Oh. Dad seems like the fuse, yeah.
He gets, I give him too many, throws them on the floor. And he goes, I will not be controlled by you. So I went and grabbed the keys out of his hand.
When was this?
Definitely
I
the
think
fuse.
Monday.
Because, like, he's not... Your son is basically in need of help, and he's showing you signs that he needs help, and you're reacting angrily towards him. And, oh my God, this is such parenting.
And he's pissed off.
Yeah!
And he jumps on the hood of my car and dents it. And so I finally decided to give him his keys back so he didn't damage my car any further.
Yeah.
And I wrote him a text on my phone I said, you damaged my car. He got a one-word answer, learn.
Once stable, the authorities formally charged him with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the killings of John and Michelle,
This could have
as
been
well as
stopped,
attempted murder
too.
for attacking a neighbor who tried to intervene. While waiting for his trial to begin, several calls made between Austin and his father do highlight how scared he was for himself.
Well, how
Right, Maggie? He got help for his mental, but he didn't help his son. Like, but you care about your car. Okay, dude. At least if he didn't want to listen to the father, I mean, the father is in the wrong for trying to give him medication that was not assigned, like, was not prescribed for him. The father was in the wrong for that. But if the kid didn't like the dad in the first place, then the dad should have at least called the mother and have been like, hey, can you get him to a psychiatrist? Because I think something's wrong with him. I think he may have this showing signs of me and of what my sister and I have, you know? So crazy.
How's life?
Oh, he sounds
It's
broken.
tough on us, Austin. We're not used to this.
Am I gonna be okay?
Yeah, you're gonna be okay.
Is everyone scared?
Yeah, but no, I'm pretty confident that we can pull something off here.
Yeah. How's
Are they
Jupiter?
taking care? Are you taking your medicines?
Yeah, I'm taking my medicine.
You need to get a Bible, Austin.
I know. I asked for one.
Do you have one?
Are you getting me a therapist or anything?
Yes, I plan on it.
Can you do it soon?
Have you talked to your mama yet?
I tried to, but she didn't answer, so I'm gonna call her after.
I'll never give up on you.
Okay.
Oh, that's
promise,
heartbreaking. Because if he was actually, like, if he was actually in need of so much help and nobody helped him, and two innocent people died because of it, and he probably didn't even know what he was doing, because, yeah, that's a thing. It is a thing where you just are not in control anymore. The mind is a powerful thing, right? It's super, super powerful. And sometimes you just are not in control and really bad happens. And then you wake up out of it and you're just like, what did I do? Yeah, everyone in his life failed him. God. That poor
Listen,
kid.
Austin, you got to stay strong here now.
I know.
It's the toughest thing you've ever done.
I know.
But you got to stay strong.
I'm just adjusting.
I know it's going to be hard to adjust, but you'll get used to it.
From the very beginning, it became clear that this would not be a typical criminal case. Austin's defense would quickly center around his mental state, arguing that he was legally insane at the time of the murders and therefore should not face prison. His behavior in the days leading up to the attacks, as well as the disturbing comments made during and after, would fuel many questions around his mental health. For years, the case was then delayed by psychological evaluations, evidence gathering, and then later the pandemic. Several mental health experts were
Oh my
called on
god, he was still going through it? Oh my god.
from both sides, and from here, there were two forensic psychologists who both determined that Austin was indeed suffering from a severe mental illness, most likely some sort of psychotic episode, which was also tied to an undiagnosed mood and thought disorder. It was eventually concluded that, during the attack, Austin could not tell the difference between right or wrong, which ultimately meets Florida's legal definition of insanity. However, the prosecution would naturally try to contest this, and instead looked towards his internet search history to claim that he was only trying to look crazy. They would also try to claim that, although he did seem to have paranoia and delusions, this did not necessarily mean that he didn't know what he was doing. In addition to this, there was other evidence that the judge would have to consider too. For example, his internet search history as far back as the year 2015 would reveal copious amounts of drug abuse. In October of 2015, Austin sent a text message saying, "I literally blacked out while talking to you. I blacked out. I lost my hat, my shoes, and my shirt." In another message, he said, "Blacked out last night and I texted Sarah. I have no idea why." In March of 2016, he sent a text message to say, "Sorry I'm asking a lot of questions. I blacked out at like 8 o'clock." It
Is
was
this
also
from
noted
drugs?
that Austin tried to acquire a bunch of illegal mushrooms from a friend only 6 days before the murders, again highlighting another drug that he was not afraid to take. So, was this insanity
Is mushrooms the same as weed? No. Oh, not even close. Oh, what are mushrooms? What does mushrooms do? They make you see crazy Oh. But it doesn't induce oh, okay.
Drug-induced mayhem. Well, test results taken on the night of the murders would confirm that he tested negative for the street drug flocker. He would also test negative for hallucinogenics and, according to the closed captions on Dr. Phil's YouTube video, negative for ass salts too. After 6 long years of legal back and forth, including countless hearings and evaluations,
So
the
he
case
had
would
nothing in his system except for vegetable oil.
finally come to an end in November of 2022. In a non-jury trial, Austin officially pled not guilty by reason of insanity. In the end, the judge accepted his plea and also agreed
It was
with
roids. No, he didn't have. He was clean. His system was clean, and he doesn't take steroids. He was talking about it earlier, how he won't follow in like bodybuilders who do steroids and stuff.
mental health findings. This means that instead of being sent to prison, Austin was committed to a secure psychiatric facility indefinitely.
Well, family spoke very passionately in that courtroom today of many things. They said they still do not buy it, that Austin Harif was insane despite medical professional expert opinions. They just say the result of that night, that deadly night, was the result of Austin being a drug addict. But a judge made his decision today with support from both the state and defense teams that Austin Harif did meet that state criteria to be considered insane, so he will be bypassing prison and headed for treatment.
I hate you. I hate you with every part of my being.
You
Should hate
both
the
said your
parents.
son acted strangely for weeks leading up to the murders. And you even set up an appointment for him to be evaluated. You should have done your job better.
Tell him.
Quicker.
Tell him.
You should not be purchasing him knives.
The state had an evaluation of Austin, and the state's own expert opined that he was insane at the time. So I think it does a disservice to those seeking mental health treatment, for those struggling with these issues. It is real, and it is powerful. The brain is a powerful organ,
Yeah.
and that's what this was about.
And of course, we don't know just how much time he might spend in that mental health institution, but we do know that he would never be released or discharged without staff and medical professionals there deeming him to not be a danger to society, to the public. He would also have to go before a judge before any decisions would be made. Reporting live in Mark County, I'm Megan McRoberts, WPTV.
I wonder where he's at
Channel
now.
5.
Quite understandably, this outcome infuriated many of those in the courtroom. Michelle's sister was absolutely furious, and many of them argued that regardless of his mental state, justice felt out of reach. They believed
should
that
lock the
Austin's
parents up.
actions were so brutal and unforgivable that a hospital felt like the wrong ending to the story. But under Florida law, if someone is declared legally insane at the time of a crime, then prison is not an option. Mental health treatment is instead. And that brings me to those who died, regardless of his diagnosis. John and Michelle. They are remembered as lovely people whose lives were tragically cut short. A loving couple who enjoyed the peacefulness of their Florida home and spending time together in their garage. Friends and neighbors describe them as warm and welcoming, always ready to lend a helping hand or share a laugh. Where Michelle was known for her energetic personality, John was equally compassionate and someone that anyone could rely on. It is worth highlighting here that, in an episode with Dr. Phil, Austin would go on to express his severe regret towards the end of the episode, so at least the pain seems to have stayed with him too.
If their family members are watching this right now, what do you say to them? Look into the camera right now, and if they're watching, what do you say to them?
I'm sorry for their loss, and I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I'm so sorry, and I never wanted this to happen. I'm so sorry.
I can't get over Dr. Phil's breathing.
It's like a nightmare. I just don't know how to say, I don't know how to put it into words.
I take these out as the...
I never wanted this to happen.
Austin, are you ashamed of what you did?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
I feel like this is just not doing the right.
I just wanted to let them know that I'm sorry.
John and Michelle are deeply missed,
Like,
and to this day, both families
what was
are
he
left
trying
with
to do to
giant
him?
holes in their hearts.
Like, that was kind of
It's
up
a
with
very
Dr.
tough-
Phil. Like, dude was not mentally there. He was not in control. And now you're saying, are you ashamed? Like, what? He's not a psychologist. So why is he even talking to him? Who even put the kid on on Dr. Phil's, like, what? This would make him want to take, yes. That would totally push him over the edge. Like, who put him with Dr. Phil? The parents? I hope it's not the parents, because that should definitely put them in jail. Like, oh my God.
Story to digest. John and Michelle are the real victims here by far, but Austin, he seriously needed help too.
Yeah.
And judging by his internet search history, it looks like he was looking for it. As to why he didn't reach out to someone, or someone close to him didn't step in to try to give him support, we will sadly never know. For example, several weeks before the murders, Austin moved himself into the garage because he was convinced that his bedroom was possessed by the devil, and both of his parents knew about this too.
And they didn't take him? They both knew? Man, the moment I told my mama I saw something, she immediately called the priest. She immediately sat me down. She was like, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" And I was like, "No, I think I was just dumb. I'm good, Mom." And, like, brother, those parents need to be put in jail.
So, if that isn't a cause for concern and a reason to intervene, then honestly, I don't know what is. And once again, as I say in many of these videos, this is why mental health is so important. Although I'm basically finished with this story, I'm very curious to know what you think about this one, so as always, please share your thoughts down below. And yeah, I think that pretty much concludes our video today, folks. Thank you so much for watching today, I really do appreciate you being here. Honestly,
Thank you
it means
for
the world to
the
me. Anyway, see you again next
super
week
interesting.
and hopefully for another long video. Until that moment arrives though, please remember to look after yourselves, look after each other,
Yes.
and as always, stay safe.
Yes.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Don't ignore signs, guys. Don't ignore signs. Don't be like the parents of the kid.